I took a break, like a good 3 hour break. Cause oh man, when I looked at the recording, I recorded for 2 hours just talking about all of these teams. Jeez. Anyways, let's talk about Eric's draft. So Eric picked up Clefable, Rillaboom, Mew, Darmanitan, Snorlax, Flygon, Gastrodon, Frostmoth, Runerigus, I'm gonna say Porygon, Morpeko, Appleton, and Kling Kling. Alright, so Clefable being his first pick, it makes sense. I mean, he saw all the dark types getting picked up, so he was just like, you know what, may as well pick the fairy. And Clefable is a good pick though. There's a lot he can do with that. It can be ran in several different ways. You could run it offensively with a Calm Mind Life Orb set. He could go a more like defensively oriented set with like Witch Teleport support with the Witch Teleport set. Granted though, it's not going to be that good because he's got to deal with the Urshifus. So he can still run like a Wish support set though, and it'll probably still do alright. It does have a lot of utility options and knockoff and such. There's some like Clefable has a lot of things it can do. It's a very surprise. Like it's a jack of all trades. That's how big of a that's how crazy a Clefable can be. Like there's a lot this mon is capable of doing besides what you see on the ladder. This mon could do way more. So like let's actually dive into his move. Like its move pool, like just insane. It can do so many things. And it has two great abilities in Magic Guard and Unaware. So he could use an Unaware Clefable if he wants to deal with like setup, or if he wants something that can deal with setup a lot better. He could definitely opt to do that. He could go with like against some other setup options that he has access to, like Belly Drum, Curse. So again, he can do whatever. He can do a lot with this mon. You could also like have it be like a healing wishing kind of set too. If he really wants to, like more of a utility kind of Clefable. But again, Clefable's more of a utility mon in general anyway. So still a lot he can do with it. It's also a rocker too, so that's pretty good for it too. And again, it's a sweeper now, or it can be a sweeper with the stored power set. So a whole lot of things this mon is capable of doing. So just be on the lookout for it, because it can do so many things. It even gets Misty Explosion too. I didn't even peep that. That could be pretty good. That could be pretty decent, maybe, if he wants to have like a suicide lead. Because I don't think it actually gets self-destruct, does it? Yeah, it doesn't get self-destruct, so it could be. That's actually interesting. Hold up, that's actually kind of cool. He could definitely make like a suicide kind of Clefable with Misty Explosion. It's not bad. Oh, so it's a 1.5 boost, so it's literally just Explosion. That's a waste of a move. It's actually a waste of a move. They should have definitely buffed that move. Or just make Explosion good again. Either one would have been static. All right, but yeah, that's Clefable. It can do a lot of things, and he's gonna be capable of figuring out what to do with that. Rillaboom. Oh boy. The Rillaboom. The Rillaboom was a good pick. Very good pick. Very solid pick. Especially to counter. Well, it wasn't. I guess it is a counter. A counter to like Zeraora and Corviknight. But also it's just a good mon in general. Like Rillaboom can do a lot of things. It can do so many things. It's very good. With the Grassy Surge. Also, its signature move now in Grassy Glide is gonna make that mon pretty dangerous, especially coming off that base 125 attack. So mon's gonna hit hard. It's gonna hit very hard. There's a lot of things that Rillaboom is capable of doing. You can run a stall breaking set with like Taunt and SD. He could go Banded with it. He could go Choice Scarf with it. Also, yeah, he could go like Banded or Choice Scarf. He could go with an acrobatic set. What else can he do? His special attack isn't terrible. He could make like a mix set if he really wants to go out there. He could do it, but there's a lot this mon is capable of doing. So very curious to see what he can do with it. It gets a Worry Seed. That could be pretty good. That could actually be decent in stopping regen cores. Granted, Rillaboom beats regen anyway, so he doesn't really have to worry about that mon too much, or about regen users anyway. Because again, he just 1v1s them. Again, he can 1v1 a Pex. He can 1v1 Marie Nicholas technically. Well, the region mons are here. They got picked up again. I know Pex and Myri and Nicholas. Well, Mungus walls it. Well, no. It depends. Again, it depends on how he wants to run. On how he wants to run Rillaboom. But in some cases, Rillaboom can beat a Mungus. But yeah, I think that's the only region mon, or those are all the region mons that got picked up so far. No one picked up Tangrowth, surprisingly. So, that's actually a really hard counter to it. So if someone picked that mon up, then they would not have had to deal with it. But still, that's a good pick though. Very good pick. You can do a lot with that. Now we have Mew. Oh boy, Mew. Oh, the Mew. The Mew is good. The Mew is a good pick. Mew is a very good pick because it does everything. Like, this mon can do everything for him. So, this is literally the best mon he could have picked up because it could be a spiker, it could be a sweeper, it could be a defensive mon. So many roles that Mew can play, which makes it one of the best mons in the draft league format because of how versatile it can be. So, I'm not going to go into all the things he can do, but I will just mention all the different kind of roles it can play. Again, a sweeper, a defensive mon, a defogger, like so many roles it has. Even a suicide lead with spikes and rocks. Yeah, he can do a lot with that. He can do tons of stuff with that. Especially with the way his team is structured, or the way his draft is starting to get structured so far. Again, his draft seems to be more like a heavily offensive for the most part. Again, with just the first two, or not with the first two so far, but so those are good picks though. Those are very good picks for OU. So then we have Darm. So this was his first UU mon. Darm is a pretty good mon. It's kind of one-dimensional, so he can make it. Well, it could be either Bandit or it could be Choice Scarf. He doesn't really have to do too much with Darm. It does get some pretty weird stuff though. Let's see. He could make it. It gets Iron Defense. What the fuck? Okay. It gets Lash Out too. I didn't even know that. So that's dark coverage at least, but it doesn't really need it. Like, Blitz is all it needs. Blitz and U-turn are really all Darm needs to really get off. Then it's got Zen mode. So I guess if he wants, he could make it like a Zen mode Darm. Granted, Zen mode Darm is pretty hard to use, but he can do that if he wants to. Even though I don't think he's gonna get much support out of it though, especially with the way his team is structured. I think maybe if he had like a little bit more bulk, with his draft, he might be able to do something with that. But overall, I think he's gonna make it pretty just one-dimensional and just make it Band or Choice Scarf. But if he does manage to do something crazy, like maybe run like a heavy duty boots one, that could be pretty cool. But like I said, I'm not too sure what else he could do with Darm besides making it banded or scarfed. But again, we'll just have to wait and see what he can come up with. Definitely was a good pick though. Very solid pick for him. A great wall breaker too. Definitely one of the best wall breakers he could have picked up too, especially at this point. And I do believe that this is like after it's switched up. So I think it went Rotom Wash, Palossand, Grem, then Kyurem, then Cobalion, then Blissey. Or it might have been the reverse. I think it might have been the reverse because, yeah, it might have been in reverse because I picked up Blissey and then everyone started to pick up like physically offensive mons. But I could be wrong. I think it might have been Blissey then. Yeah, it might have been Blissey then. Well, okay, no, he picked up Haxorus then G, bro. Yeah, okay, never mind. I'm wrong. It was the other way. So yeah. Yeah, it was the other way then. So good pick for him. Then he picked up Snorlax. Oh, that's a good wall. That's a good wall. Very good wall. It gives him a ghost immunity, and it also gives him like a whole lot of things. Snorlax is one of those mons that's always gonna put in work no matter what. There's a lot of tools he can do with this mon, and it's crazy, especially looking at all the useless moves it has. Those useless moves, they could definitely be useful if he applies them correctly. Lax can do a ton of things. He can make it AV. He can make it banded. He can make it He can make it like a sweeping one with Curse. He could do a belly drum set. He could definitely do a belly drum set if he really, really wants to. I know I use belly drums in real life, and that's fun. That's very fun. Granted, it is like an old tech back from Gen 2. But still, that is a plausible set he can make. He can make it like physically defensive with body press. Maybe he could do something with that. But again, he's got several different things he can do. It's also a phaser with a whirlwind, so he can do something with that. But yeah, that's pretty much what he can do. He could also run like a counter lax. That could be pretty fun. But yeah, like I said, he's got several different. It can also trap too with block, so he could definitely do some crazy stuff with that as well. I'm curious about what he'll be doing with the lax, but very solid pick for him. Very, very solid pick. It does counteract the ghost immunity for Mew, so he's got that for him. But yeah, good mon so far. Very good mon. Then he picked up Flygon, so now he has a defogger. He has a ground immunity. He has a dragon type in general, which is still really good. And he also has a ground type as well. Granted, this could kind of hurt him because he's got Rillaboom, which can pretty much cancel out ground types. However, well, no, actually, Flygon's just pretty solid anyway. But it won't do as much damage if grassy terrain's up, so he's got to kind of like deal with that. But I think he'll be fine anyway. But yeah, Flygon can do a number of things. It could be Choice Scarf or Choice Banded. Granted, Choice Band isn't like the best option for it, but that is plausible. He can make it a Dragon Dancing set. He can make it Specs. It does have a decent. Its special move pool is really good, so he can make a mix set if he wants, or against Specs, like I said already. There's a whole lot of other things it can do. It could be more of a support kind of Flygon with defog. What else? You can run like Tailwind if you want. It gets Scorching Sand, so it can burn things now. So that's actually pretty good for a defensive Flygon. Actually, I might have to try something like that. That could be fun. Defensive Flygon. It's literally just Lando without the Intimidate. That actually might be kind of interesting. I'm gonna try that at some point for my own experiment. But yeah, its coverage is great. It can do a lot of things with this. He can do a lot of things with this. So I'm very curious in what kind of way he'll be using this mon. Looks like it can trap things too. It gets Fire Spin. That's interesting. He could like trap things with Sand Tomb if he wants. Get Scale Shot so he can boost his speed if he wants to. Yeah, this mon's pretty interesting. Again, a lot of tools it's capable of using here. So not a bad mon at all. I feel like he's going to be running it more utility wise. I don't think he's going to be making it like heavily offensive. Again, he already has like some very offensive mons in Boom, Darm, and Lax. So I don't think he's going to do too much with Flygon. However, good mon though, very good mon. Especially to counter my pick with Copperajah. Then he picked up Gastrodon. So Gastrodon is another solid mon. It completes his Fire, Water, Grass core at this point. So in terms of cores that he needs left, he would need a Dragon, Fairy, Steel core. Overall, he already has like his Dragon type in Flygon and his Fairy and Clef. So again, if he can get a Steel type, then he'll pretty much be set in terms of having like another offensive core. But yeah, with the Gastrodon being here, that not only gives him a water immunity, but it also gives him an electric immunity as well. Gastrodon has some pretty cool stuff it can do. Let's see. Oh snap. Yeah, let's see what you can do. You can do a lot. You do get sticky hold and storm drain. Again, allowing you to not get your item knocked off, but also giving you a water immunity is pretty solid. Gastrodon has a ton of options it can do as well. He can make it like a trapping one with block. He could definitely make it like more utility wise with Mirror Coat. Get Skitter Smack. That's interesting. That's weird, but interesting. What can he do? He can make it like AV and make it offensive if he really wants to. It has access to a pain split and recovery, so he's got recovery options in that. He's got memento. I don't know why he'd ever use that, but that is something he's capable of using if he wants to help set up for a sweeper. Granted, I don't think memento really helps a Gastrodon at all. I think he wants to. I think he actually wants that as a wall and not like a setup or just something just setup fodder. I don't think he really. Or not set up well, yeah, set up fodder for his own team so that we can set up with something else. But yeah, I don't know. He can run like a curse set with it too. Curse is actually pretty solid for it. It might actually do pretty well again. It might actually do pretty well for him. I'm pretty sure he was thinking about something like that when he was drafting this mon. But yeah, in terms of its stats, so its stats aren't that bad either. He could definitely make it like again, he could make it mixed, or he could make it like a specially oriented Gastrodon. Its special attack is not that bad. 92 is pretty decent. It gets Scald as well, so he can burn things with that. Gets Weather Ball too, so if he wants to take advantage of what's it called? Wants to take advantage of weather, he can. So he's got that option. He gets Acid Armor too. That's pretty cool. But granted, again, Curse is just always gonna be better. Gets Body Slam, so he has a way of what's the word? He's got a way to paralyze things too. He's got Yawn as well, so he can afford switch-ins. So overall, Gastrodon's a pretty solid mon. It can do a lot of things for him. So overall, not a bad mon. Not a bad mon at all. It can do several things. A very fat mon for him. I think he picked up Frostmoth. Frostmoth, that's another cool mon. Frostmoth gives him a one, it gives him a really good ice type, but also a good ice type. Actually, I haven't looked at Frostmoth since the DLC dropped, or actually no, not even since the DLC dropped. I think it might have been since the game actually came out. I haven't actually looked at Frostmoth. Okay, the cool thing about Frostmoth is its ability and skill and ice skills, and the fact that it pretty much has an AV all the time. Well, I mean, it's a special version of Fur Coat, and being able to take special hits like so well. It could take a flamethrower in the sun, which is insane. So he could definitely do some stuff with this mon. He can make it specs. Granted, that would make him very weak to rocks, but he has that option. He could definitely go with a QD set. So basically, he has his own Volcarona, which is pretty good. Granted, it is slower than Volcarona, but still good mon regardless. And its special attack is pretty strong too. Like 125 is not bad at all. Like that mon can hit hard. Does get access to Hurricane, so again, he could take advantage of weather. Triple Axle is pretty bad for it. He does get Weather Ball too, so again, take advantage of weather. Yeah, gets Giga Drain, so he can deal with the water types as well. Gets Bug Buzz, so he can just run through some stuff too. Yeah, gets Sub as well. He can also stun Spores and things too if he wants like another way to have some way of status control. He could do that. Does get Defog too, but I don't think he's ever gonna run Defog on Frostmoth. I think he's gonna be more inclined to make it offensively based. But yeah, overall, good pick, very good pick. Then we have Runerigus. So Runerigus, oh man, I feel kind of hurt just talking about Runerigus because that was a mon I was thinking about using. Oh man. All right, so let's see. Runerigus has a ton of tools it can do, man. Tons of tools it can do. It can Trick Room, so he has a Trick Room setter. He actually can take advantage of Trick Room. He could use that for his Zen Mode Dharma if he ever runs that, and his Snorlax if he's gonna run like a banded one. He has that option, so he can do that. He has a Rocker and a T-Spiker. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a T-Spike Absorber though. So if he had that, then he would have been solid. But he does have access to that. Granted, he can run Boots on whatever he wants to avoid T-Spikes, so he could definitely opt to do that. But yeah, T-Spikes are good for that. Very, very good for that, especially for the way his draft is structured. So he could take advantage of that. Gets Poltergeist, so and its attack stat is pretty good too, so it can definitely take advantage of that Poltergeist. So if he wants to, he can make it banded. Band Runerigus would be pretty tough. Um, could be very cool to see. Unfortunately though, he doesn't have another Trick Room setter though, so he can't really take advantage of it like he wants to, unless he makes it like Life Orb Runerigus with Trick Room. Then I could see something like that working for him. He does have some other stuff he can do. He can make it like a body pressing one with Iron Defense. He can make it like a body press one with Iron Defense. What else can he do? I think it gets Pain Split, doesn't it? So he has a way of recovery. No, it doesn't get Pain Split. Never mind. I know Cofagrigus Cofagrigus actually does get it. But not this one, unfortunately. So in terms of like recovery, he's probably gonna have to rely on Wish from Chansey, or not Chansey, from Clefable. They're like the same thing to me anyway. But yeah, he could do that. But yeah, that's pretty much that for him. He can burn things too with Will-O-Wisp, so he has that option. What else can he do? What else is he capable of doing? He can trap things with Mean Look. He can also imprison opposing Trick Room setters, so that's something he's got to be aware of too. Overall, good stuff. Mon's good. The Mon is very good. All right, so after he picked Runerigus, he picked Morpeko. Morpeko, man, that's a good Mon, man. That's a good Mon. I respect that pick. Very good pick. A very good pick, because this Mon is dangerous. Very dangerous Mon. It can do so many things, but it's mainly going to be like a sweeper. It's also a spinner for him too, which in terms of like hazard control, he has this now. Again, he has defog on this, but I'm not going to count it because I mean, it's still defog. That's still a way of like hazard removal, so he has that option. He's got Flygon as another defogger. He's got me as a defogger as well, so he has hazard control. Or I mean, he has several ways of hazard control. So Morpeko is just another one to add on. And having a spinner, so that's good for him. Yeah, like I said, Morpeko can do a lot of things. He can make it banded. He can make it heavy duty boots. Again, for the utility option in spinning. It does get parting shot too, so he has like switch initiative. He can also be a stall breaking one with taunt. You can do some other really cool stuff with this Mon. Like, this Mon's very fun Mon. Very fun Mon. But yeah, Aura Wheel is something to not mess around with. That Mon can hit hard with that. Like, Aura Wheel is a very strong move for that Mon. Again, especially coming off that attack set of 1, or I'm saying 1, it's 95. Like, that hits hard, hits very hard. Yeah, he can opt to go Choice Band, or he could go, well, honestly, I think Choice Band would be the best one for him. But like I said, he could still opt to use the heavy duty boot set, and he'll still get the same result and getting off some pretty strong damage on whatever can come in. But yeah, overall, good Mon, very good Mon. It's an electric type as well, so now he has a way to kind of break through bulky waters besides Rillaboom. So again, another good Mon, another really good Mon for that. So then after Morpeko, he picked up Appleton. Oh man, Appleton, that's another good Mon. It's another good Mon, man. He picked up like some really interesting Mons. This Mon, Appleton, is very cool. Very cool Mon. There's some very nasty things this Mon can do, man. So many nasty things. He has Elite Seed user now, paired with Rillaboom. So he could do some stuff with that. He can also run a Iron Defense body pressing set. He can run Apple Acid is a very good move for that Mon, and it being able to just kind of like weaken walls. So he could definitely do that. So he's got that option. Also, it is a second dragon type for him too. So now, and also in terms of like ice coverage though, or like ice types. Actually, in terms of like fairies, he doesn't really have much of an answer to fairy types. Like, fairy types kind of mess him up. I'm pretty sure he can circumvent that. But yeah, fairy types definitely mess him up, and so do ice types to some extent. He doesn't really have much for ice coverage, or much for ice types, so he's got to be aware of that. But yeah, Appleton, Appleton though, it can do quite a bit. It does get thick fat, so it can take on ice moves as well. Granted, it isn't granted with its typing, it doesn't take it as well as you think, but it's still pretty bulky though. Don't get it twisted. It's still very bulky to take hits like that. Um, so he could take advantage of that. Um, yeah, it does get recovery as well. He could make it like a screen kind of Appleton as support. It does get grassy glide, so he could take advantage of the grassy terrain. So that could be good for him too. Um, but I feel like he's gonna make it more defensively oriented with leech seed and recovery. But again, he's got several things he could do. He can run a recycle too, so he can make it like a recycle ripen kind of Appleton, which is also possible. Um, Gets gluttony as well, so you can take advantage of that too. Overall, it's a solid pick. Definitely a lot he can do with that mon. A ton of different things you can do with that mon. I did think about getting it at one point, but then you sniped me. So, so yeah. Overall, I like this mon. Very good mon. Then the last mon he picked was Kling Klang. So Kling Klang. Kling Klang. Let's see. How do I diagnose this mon? It's a good sweeper. It's a pretty good sweeper. It does get a steel move now. It does get steel ball or steel ball. It does get steel roller, so he can take advantage of his own terrain and just body things. So that could be very fun. That could be very fun for him. But in terms of like other things he can do, I really don't see it doing much else but just being a sweeper. So he could definitely go with like shift gear, steel roller, wild charge, or even like shift gear, sub, wild charge, steel roller. He'll pretty much be set. Like, he doesn't really have to do anything else too crazy. He could also opt to go gear grind over steel roller. Since he needs something that could actually hit like effectively, or not something that can hit effectively, but like something that's consistent. Because steel roller only works with terrain up. So I guess he could run both if he wants to. This is another mon that can set up terrain too for him. So he could definitely do something with that. Granted, Kling Klang's like not gonna take too much of an advantage with that, but he has that capability. It gets magic code, so he could bounce back hazards if he wants to. Get sleep talk too, so he has a sleep absorber. Can run toxic. He has trick room too, so another trick room user for him. So that could be pretty fun. That could be pretty fun for him. But yeah, it does get recycled too, so he could run some recycle stuff with that. Yeah, that's pretty much that though. Yeah, that's pretty much a Kling Klang. It doesn't really do much else. But again, it is a sweeper for him, and he can take advantage of that. Also, it is a mon that it can avoid status, or not status, but stat drops. So that's pretty good for him. Overall, I say he has a pretty solid draft. He has to be aware of the fairy types and the ice types in the draft, but I think he'll do all right. Definitely the biggest contenders that he has, or the best mons that he like picked up. I definitely say were Rillaboom, and Darm. Those two are gonna be great. Those two are gonna be very good. Rillaboom is gonna be a pretty big problem to some people, especially my draft. So I gotta be aware of that mon. Yeah, let's see what else. What else does it really mess with? It can kind of mess with Helmy's draft a little bit if he's not prepared for it. Ooh, Rillaboom might be a problem for Helga. It could definitely be a problem for her. But I think everyone else should be able to manage around it. I think yeah, I think it'll be interesting though. It'll be interesting. Mew, again, like I said, Mew can do a ton of things. Again, it could be a spiker and a rocker, so that's another mon that has a lot of potential. It could also transform too, so we could run like the transform Mew set, which is very disgusting, but that is possible. So I forgot to mention that one. That's definitely a possibility he has. But having a transform mon, so that gives him another like option in that. I think I pretty much like covered all the options that he has with Mew and everything on his draft. So that covers Eric's draft.